option 4, item number 14. He states, new addition area is at risk for debt service aid eligibility since the DOE has found we have no unhoused students at the high school. So,
yes,
if they are,
yes, and the EO, that's after seeing the plans that were already in their possession when that option was looked at.
so what I'm saying,
So it doesn't mean we don't have them now, which is what you seem to imply when you said there were no unhoused. It means that if we were to convert this space into classrooms, the extra room upstairs, and utilize the pool as the plans were drawn up, and use our district practices, we would not have any unhoused students. So in improving a plan that doesn't provide, we've used this word a lot, educational adequacy, right? So if improving a plan, whether it be $2.5 million or $6 million, right, whichever one we came up with, or any other plan that someone came up with, right, that money the state would say, because you have an alternative, we won't give you the debt relief on that part of the plan. So we're agreeing that that's what he's saying, but we're not saying about the here and now. We're saying about the plans that were submitted. Okay?
another question, please. Has the Y asked to renew the contract? That's one question. Will you please provide clarification on the capacity of the cafeteria? Because I found it odd. I believe I'm good in math. 3,000 square feet, 200 students, 5,400 square feet equal 360 students, roughly.
Tomorrow morning, I'm going to email the architect to ask him to clarify the numbers and the student.
I appreciate that.
But keep in mind that those plans and those numbers were also approved and reviewed by the state with those number of student capacity in there. But I'll ask him for clarification on that. Okay?
Yeah, he had to change. Okay. Another question. If the referendum doesn't pass, are you planning on spending another 30, 50 grand on a special election? And also, what is your plan for the pool if it doesn't pass? Is the pool gonna be ignored? Is it gonna be left to just go worse than it is? Are you gonna spend the money to maintain the pool? I mean, there's always maybe at best 50-50 chance.
I think Ms. LeBrun rang the buzzer first on this one like a game show.
So, we aren't at the point of saying definitively what we would do if we do put something to a vote and that vote doesn't pass. But I will say that one of the pieces of feedback that has been consistent and has really been clearly stated as something important to consider is the cost of the entire referendum, right? So all of us understand that we're talking about a significant amount of money. And when we initially started this effort, we were all hoping that the total envelope for the proposal would be lower than it is today. And that's because we want if we move forward, we certainly want to move forward with something that is as cost effective as possible and still provides the educational opportunities that we want to provide. All of that said, I don't have a crystal ball and I'm not here to speak for the board, but it would be difficult to imagine a scenario where we go to the town with a referendum, the referendum is voted down, and then we turn around and go back with a more expensive referendum. So most likely what would happen is program elements deleted from the package.
Thank you. One more question, please. I appreciate your patience. There was a comment made here that our architect put money, be conservative on the plan. Would you name one time that it happened in Rutherford that we issue a referendum for a set amount of money and the Board of Education spent less, to my knowledge? Last time or the time before, there was a referendum or money allocated to buy buses. We never bought the buses. Usually, and I could be wrong, the opposite is true. You budget for 40 million, 50 million to build that many classes. It never happened to my knowledge, that you spend less, you usually spend more, or either cut down on the project.
Well, to be clear, we don't have the ability to spend more. So the way that the process works is if something goes to a referendum vote and it's approved, that is the ceiling within which we can work. So to Dr. Racine's comments earlier about why the project management team went to the higher end of the estimate for each of those elements was to avoid that problem. And I know that Mr. Hurley can speak to it with more clarity because he was here for the last referendum, but I understand that bids did come back higher and it presented issues because things had to be cut out of the program.
The reason why we had to wait, and I had to lobby every year until we finally got window air conditioners in the Mortimer Avenue wing in this building, which was my building, right, was because the referendum passed with the intent of the chiller in this building is big enough to do the whole building. But the ductwork for the Mortimer wing, anything that wasn't touched, not just Mortimer, Elliott as well, anything that wasn't touched by new construction, all that ductwork came out because the bids came in higher than the approved referendum. The reason why we have the ability to put 2 classrooms at Lincoln School is because those 2 classrooms came out because of the bids came in higher. So the estimate for referendum, you go as high as you think the public will allow based on the estimates, right? You can't go higher. And what we were saying before is, in the unlikely event, maybe we didn't say unlikely, if everything comes in under, then that money, we can't say, oh, let's add something else. We are bound by law to use that 54, whatever it is, 54 million for the item spelled out in that project. You can't divert money to something else. That money goes back to the taxpayer. You cannot bring more money in. So to a couple of points, no crystal ball. We don't know what bids will be like. It's possible that hypothetically, whatever referendum goes forward passes, right? And then we have to make some decisions when the bids come in about what we can't do. Okay? And that's probably more likely, quite honestly. We'll hope it doesn't work that way. Than it would be to say we're going to have excess money because costs go up. You know, you're planning costs now for something you're going to have to bid for in 7 months, right? And the only thing I would add to Ms. Librera, with no crystal ball, if we lose, like I said, we've been kicking this can down the road, right? I mean, I stole that line. I didn't say it. I stole it. We're going to have to go back out, and we'll try to go back out, based on statutory limits at the next available date, and we can go out. But in the interim, we have to figure out how to reshape it. But I think the 2 things would be big are the idea of cost, and what I said, the overriding theme of this is not anything other than space.
I understand.
So, again, I'm not going to sit here and say I can't speak for the board. I'm not going to say what my recommendation would be because I don't know what the outcome is going to be. I don't know what the data analysis will be if it fails. But I think cost and space will be the overriding concern. Maximizing space, minimizing cost.
Space for the school programs.
For school programs.
Which I appreciate and understand that.
And that's an honest answer.
Mr. Kevin said in last